are pretty standard picks at the moment. But something that suddenly just popped to mind was that SCSC was asked once in an interview a few months back, and the question was, who do you think is Swoi's best support pick? And everyone was thinking Malfurion, because Malfurion was what Swoi had been picking for months on end. But SCSC answered Auriel, and he was pretty adamant in that opinion, so Swoi seems to be very, very in good form right now. And let's see how his Auriel play is.
That's a nice info. I thought it was Brightwing because he loved Brightwing, but yeah, no one else did also.
Yeah, so a lot of iconic picks going there for Swoi, but the Zeratul, always a very good dive buddy alongside Genji. We saw MVP Black utilize it even before the mid-season brawl multiple times to great effect, so I think it's a decent pickup. Also pretty nice against Auriel as well and the Greymane, so it's essentially a full dive comp.
Yeah, full dive comp, and because of the Wombo combo potential, even with X-Strike maybe coming in from Genji, there's the Diablo band. Just not having that APOC will be somewhat important for L5 because there's a lot of Wombo combo potential on the side with the Void Prison. Again, once more, Swoi will be on the Rehgar. It seems like they are going in for the dive. I do not know the 5th pick as Illidan and Genji is already banned.
I really like this Rehgar pickup from L5. Auriel Rehgar, as we discussed on virtually every cast that we had in the last few days. Very solid double support, pretty much the standard go-to, if you will. And you can basically slot any ranged assassin into the cast that L5 has made right now. It could be Cassia, it could be Vala, it could be anything.
Let's see, Vala is still open, and L5 has been the team that picked Vala more than any other team except for MVP Miracle at the very beginning from Korea. Let's see, even without Tastar actually removed from the draft, double support may be enough to bring in Vala solo damage.
Something that will be very important throughout this game, of course, will be, as always, the Void Prison versus Sanctification mind games that will be going on. And L5, props to them. Sometimes, as the warrior player, you are discouraged from taking Tyrael into Zeratul because you're scared that your Sanctification might be nullified, but L5 know that it's important to take that anyway. And what ranged assassin do you want to see? Vala.
Just not Chromie. I'm happy. As Tempest actually used Chromie with Auriel yesterday. That was painful to watch. And of course, Vala coming in for L5. I like both draft actually. Raven has a lot of potential for dive, and L5 putting everything on Vala. Double support can keep her safe. I think that's a very good draft coming out from both teams. But which team will make it work better in this map? Let's go into game number 2, Sky Temple. Let's find it out. In blue, Raven, Darvish on Genji, Hamlin on Zeratul, and the Max on Greymane, Diong on Stitches, and Chom on Malfurion.
And in red, we see L5 with Hooligan on the Nubarak, SC on Vala, Jungha on Tyrael, SD on Rehgar, and Swoi on Auriel. So this should be SD's second showing on a support in 2 consecutive days. Yesterday he played Karazim. Was a decent Karazim. Not the best, but not the worst either.
Yes, very aggressive, and sometimes he was punished because of it. His positioning has been super aggressive there. And we saw some very good action coming out from Hamlin Zeratul, but ooh, Chom, there's a helping hand.
Oh, that's a very good helping hand.
I think that literally saved him from going back to the Nexus itself.
I'm really...
Oh, that hood actually connected onto Swoi. That
almost was a kill.
I actually thought that did not connect, but that was the max range of the hook.
Young on fire this game, at least in the early game. We will have to see if this hook accuracy continues. Oh, so close right there. But now it misses, so he's sitting at 66% hook accuracy at the moment, I guess. KR math.
Yes, 2 out of 3. 66.66666, yes. And Darvish, of course, the solo lane with Tyrael. Will be okay.
I'm really happy to see Jung back on Tyrael again. Like, when L5 were de facto the best team in the world, Jung's best champions were Tyrael and Tassadar. He is so good at playing those supportive, somewhat frontline, somewhat backline heroes.
Ooh, that was close. If he did not have Blink, would have been a kill secured. And look at the placement of... Look at the placement and the positioning of SCSC. He's not
looks so happy.
Afraid to go back. It's 4 versus 2 though. Oh, he gets a kill at the end too.
Classic SCSC. If history has any indication, all numbers show that SCSC is probably the best auto attack based ranged assassin in the game. And although L5 has fallen off quite a bit in the global power rankings since the mid-season brawl, ignoring SCSC's mechanical proficiencies on those heroes, not something you want to do.
Yeah, of course. You don't want to risk it too much. Oh, actually, Swoy, the god!
Detainment strike right there, coming out.
Punishing! Whatever hero that goes overextended, and wow.
So Raven has to feel a bit discouraged at the moment that those kind of slight mechanical outplays, they might not mean too much in the overarching story of the game itself, but you know, it causes a dampening effect on morale.
Yeah, but as a Genji, you really have to go for the extra step and try to look for the kill.
Yeah, you need to keep diving and ask for healing and stuff like that.
Yes, I need healing. That's what he says all the time. But oftentimes, it's either one of my teammates or sometimes me doing that. So it happens, and you do need to go all the way in and really look for the kills.
This is going to be a huge push, though. Vala with 2 supports. Only Genji holding the fort, and Genji is not known for his wave clear.
Of course not. Oh, there was a good dive attempt and barely make it out with the shift strike.
They're going to weasel out of this choke point now, but the push continues with the Siege Giants.
Ooh. Oh, wow. It's like the rivalry on top is real, but while that was happening, Stitches, poor Stitches, just wanted to play here.
And loads of action going around the map, so a bit understandable that the Observer could have missed something. But the Siege Camp live on to take down the entire bottom fort of Raven. And this happened before the bottom temple spawned, so huge lead for L5 at the
actually, Q-Vala. Not the W that we've been seeing with the Ariel, because there's this double support. You don't need as much as hope from Ariel, I'm guessing. And you also have... Oh, it's a little questionable.
Wow.
Dies off screen. Seems like Genji picked up the kill.
So much action again happening around the maps. Understandable.
Oh, there's a repair up. The follow-up damage is okay, but not... Because Hamlin was so low, he could not really fully commit and go in.
And to pick up your point about the Q-Vala build earlier, it's somewhat standard to take it against assassins such as Zeratul or Illidan.
That's right.
So it's a decent pickup. And generally, if it was a solo support Ariel, or had the Vala not been SCSC, I think the Vala would have been incentivized to just go for the W build. But since it's SCSC, you're sort of confident that even without the empowered Ws... Oh, wow. Okay, so...
Yeah, you can dodge the skills, but you can't dodge the auto attacks.
SDE seems to play super aggressive when he's on support.
Yes.
That's a very odd trait to have.
Not just in Kerosene, but also Rehgar. Rehgar is a very aggressive support too, does tons of damage.
Well, Hyde calls him Rehgar Greymane, so...
Yeah, they're friends, of course. The same family there.
Can you be friends and family?
Yeah, not a bad option.
Okay.
I think that's possible. Oh, Hamlin actually you has to use Cocoon. Hero is coming down, but supports are coming for Raven's side too.
I don't know why he stayed there though. Not the most meaningful Q coming out from Hooligan, but no one will die.
No one will die, but this will matter a lot more. They lost the 5 shots, but that doesn't. It matters less because if they can get this fort, that's 3 down already.
There hasn't been a massive team wipe or anything on the side of either side so far, but
yeah.
For the game as a whole, L5 are clearly stomping Raven right now through the better rotations, through the slightly better mechanics.
Yeah, that's right.
We see all of L5's forts very, very healthy, in good shape, whereas Raven have no fort standing at 6 minutes in the game.
Oh, but they're going to get the kills. If they can make these rotations and catch up in the XP, it's going to work. As you can see, the kill score is not too much of a difference, 4-3. But as you mentioned, the big macro, as Raven actually spent so much time rotating up and down, they lose EXP in that terms.
This has to be, oh wow.
Okay, Great Void Prison.
Are they going to commit to
this? I don't think so. The Twilight Dream seems a little bit off, and there's a Sanctification. Going in aggressive.
They baited out the
Twilight Dream.
Well.
Goes in, Jungha. Let's get Ancestral with the very good save from coming up from Swoi there. Who actually catches. Swoi's Ariel play has been crazy.
There's a reason why SC praised the Ariel so much, and I feel conflicted about what Raven did just there. They made all the right mechanical plays, they did a lot of things right, but I don't think they were committed. But are they now?
But seems like Stitches needs to go on a diet if he wants to escape from that, you know. The Cocoon is already used also, and Raven does not have too much support. And Chom, without the Twilight Dream, he will also get picked off.
So 2 kills, very clean pickoffs from the side of L5. Raven will be so sad that they blew so many heroics in the last team fight, and they did not have any available for this one, except for Dragon Blade, which was not used.
That ages while the Ancestral was going in. I think Swoi was thinking maybe his teammate could have died, so he just used that as a safety tool at the very last moment.
I don't think it was a bad decision at all, so that wasn't a problem at all. But Hooligan might be in danger here.
Hamlin goes in, and actually wobbles into Hooligan. Does that Void Prison in 1 second, it's back now.
Raven looking to be in this array. Hamlin was chasing non-stop. 3 members were sort of confused and deciding what to do, and Dion was just taking the camp. So
I think L5 was confused because he was pressuring so much. They probably thought this guy has Void Prison for sure, when it was actually on cooldown. What a bold move coming out from Hamlin there. The mind games were real.
I don't know if L5 had turned around immediately, it could have been different, and they're L5, so I imagine that they would keep the exact timer on Void Prison on check, so they had to have known that VP wasn't available there. But still good to see Raven retaining that bite, that confidence, that willingness to make plays.
So before 13, L5 is making the engage, seems to be the target is on NMX, but very good Void Prison coming out from the side. The identification has to be used while that time. Now, Vala is doing so much damage, and Hamlin will just blink out maybe. Does not at the end. Twilight Dream actually just gets to it, but the strafe does so much damage. There's this defensive route and the helping hand. Is that going to be enough?
Nope.
No, it is not, and seems like Q-Vala is very strong, and when chasing, there's the double stun once more coming out from Hooligan. The borrow charge is so strong.
Almost a full wipe from the side of L5, and that team fight went in a way that cannot be just explained by having one talent ahead. Again, it's sort of like what the team fight that happened right in front of L5's middle fort. Raven did a lot of things right. The Void Prison was pretty decent. The Twilight Dream, again, pretty decent. They almost picked off Tyrael and forced out the Sanctification. That was okay too. But then, after they blew all their good skills, the massive sustain coming out from Val is, self-sustained. That comes into play at level 13. Double support.
Oh, but look at this. There's the Aegis.
Rehgar is really far away, though.
That stun! I don't even know how he landed that stun onto the wall with the Taman Strike.
SCSC still very much healthy. Darvish falls as well. Really good mechanical
Root already
play.
used, so there's no escape at all. Helping Hand actually will not get onto Chom, and he does have Twilight Dream, does not have to use it.
Again, this looks to be an almost team wipe coming out from L5. 3-level lead. While all things are said, NMX won't fall here, but this is going to be a boss and potentially core for L5.
If SCSC is a great auto attack range, but if I have Swoi on my back, I think I can play so much better because you can trust his dose to Taman Strike and the healing coming for the entire team. That is one of the best Aureo plays I've ever seen.
Will you be able to play like SCSC?
No. No. I can't say this for sure.
I was going.
Not in my lifetime. Maybe in my
not enough confidence. You're not going to be an HGC pro with that kind of mindset, J-Club.
I'm sorry. I fail, guys.
Assuming that you want to be one.
It's okay. I can still
Your talents
cast.
are more needed
Yes.
on the casting dust, so all is well.
I have level 20 talent and I'm here, so it's okay. But this boss is pushing, and they're coming from the side. Boy Prison, I think, pretty good positioning. But L5 staying together. They have Sanctification left. And here goes the engage. The Stitch is already blown up. Sanctification used perfectly to save everyone when they're coming in. Chom again trapped inside. Actually could not even get the Twilight Dream off.
The way that L5 started that team fight and the way that Raven was positioned when it started made it practically meaningless for whatever abilities were used properly and were not. Raven's Void Prison finally not the best uses of that either, and we thought that L5 could go for the core when they took the boss, but this happened in a more forceful way than expected.
Yep, and that's game number 2. Again, going to L5, making the series into 2-0, but from what we saw from Hooligan, those borrow charges, the impales, the cocoon timing has been pretty decent. Of course, they're against the weaker team, not MVP Black or Tempest or Mighty, but still, from what we've been seeing today, so far from Hooligan has been pretty decent, and I think his Nubarok can be one of his best heroes too.
His Nubarok play was pretty on point yesterday as well against MVP Miracle, so I agree. His Nubarok has been definitely one of his better heroes and something that he hadn't used too much before on his last team, GG, so definitely some improvement coming out from the Warrior player here. And again, we sang a lot of praises about Swoi in the game itself, but I have to reiterate how amazing his Aurios, especially his detainment strikes, were.
Yeah, his Rehgar in game number 1 was beyond amazing, and even more in game number 2. But before game number 3, we will take a short commercial break. We'll be back in 5 minutes, guys. So take a break. Welcome back, Heroes fans, and we are waiting for game number 3, but still L5 looks very dominant over Raven right now, leading 2-0.
Historically speaking, this is the point where Raven brings out their crazy drafts. The Asmodans, the random Cho'Galls, the
random
Novas, the whatevers. Once they're 2 games down, they know what's best for the fans. And I hope they do it again today.
I still remember Zeratul Nova.
Well, I mean,
that was one of the worst and the best at the same time for me.
I mean, to put that Nova into context, I'm pretty sure either you or Wolf explained it while that was happening, but that Nova pick has a history because Raven, the reason why their team is named Raven is because a lot of the members came from Rave, which was a long-standing Rave Hots, and the Hot stands for Heroes of the Storm, obviously. So Rave is a long-standing organization that disbanded about 6 months before HGC started, and it had a lot of good members. When Super League was the Korean tournament for Heroes of the Storm, they reached the semifinals of that once as well. So it was a storied organization, and in Rave's very last professional game, the very last match that they played together, they picked Nova and won.
Yes.
So
there's some history from
there
Rally.
was a lot of history behind that Nova pick, and you don't get to take a crap on it just because it didn't work out. They also picked Zeratul in that game too.
We saw Nova from Midseason Brawl too. I believe one of the Chinese team actually used on Braxis.
I think the team from Southeast Asia picked it against
Okay.
D-Star, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it was